everybody, and welcome back to the Jordan Organics YouTube channel. I'm Bruce, and we have had a ton of success growing our banana peppers as well as jalapenos this year, and we have been pickling them up like crazy. This is just a small fraction of all the jars we've done so far. We've done pint jars as well as these half pints here, and we're going to show you the recipe we've used and the process we did to get all of these canned up. So join us today and let's have some fun. And here's the recipe that we'll be using today, and we'll be pickling jalapenos for this particular video. This recipe makes approximately 6 pints, and today we'll be using half-pint jars. To start, we're going to need 2 pounds of peppers, 6 garlic cloves, and a half teaspoon of black peppercorns per jar. Now these next 3 parts of the recipe is the brine itself. We'll need 4 cups of water, 4 cups of white vinegar, and make sure that the vinegar has 5% acidity. I've been seeing in stores that they are putting vinegar with only 3% acidity on the same shelf, and it's easy to grab the wrong one. This recipe needs a vinegar with 5%, so be careful. After that, we're going to need 10 teaspoons of canning salt. I also suggest adding 1/8 of a teaspoon of calcium chloride granules to each jar to help preserve a little of the crunch of the peppers. Every brand calls theirs by a different name. For instance, Ball calls theirs Pickle Crisp. After we get everything in jars, we'll process them in boiling water for 10 minutes. You may have to adjust the time based on your altitude. Now before you do anything else, you're going to want to go ahead and get that water boiling because that takes the longest time. Put your jars in there, fill the pot with water, move it over to the stove, high heat, put a lid on, and then start giving your peppers a good rinse. You're going to want to dry them off, remove any excess water. And then we'll go ahead and start making that brine we talked about. 4 cups of the white vinegar, followed by 4 cups of water. And then the 10 teaspoons of canning salt. Teaspoons now. Make sure it's teaspoons. Go ahead and move that mixture over to the stove, give it a quick stir, and put it on simmer. And the next step is to go ahead and start slicing off the ends of the jalapenos. Now for this batch, I wanted a little milder. I didn't want overpowering heat as far as jalapenos go. So I went ahead and removed a lot of the seeds for this batch, and the way I did that is I got an old school potato peeler, stuck it on in the jalapeno, and just gave it a twist all the way around the inner edge there. And what will happen is the core will pop out. Give it a little bang, get some of the excess seeds out, and it's pretty much ready for slicing. Now there's a variety of different ways you can go about peeling these. You can use a mandolin if you have one. It's pretty handy, just gotta watch your fingers. Or you can just old school it with a knife. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the jars from the boiling water. And you're going to want to go ahead and dump the first couple jars into another bowl. We're going to go ahead and put our lids in there to get them ready for processing as well. We go ahead and set the empty jars aside. We go ahead and put the lids in the bowl like I said. Now if you happen not to put enough water in there from the jars, just grab another ladle, it's already been sanitized, scoop out some water, put it in the bowl. You want to make sure they're completely submerged. Next you go ahead and start putting in your jalapenos. Here's a piece of garlic. Throw that on in there. You want to go ahead and push them down. They're going to take up some space. You're going to want to leave about 1/2 inch at the top. Squish them on in there the best you can. Go ahead and get your black peppercorns. 1/2 teaspoon of those. Throw them right on in there. And go ahead and ladle in your brine mixture. Now here's the optional calcium chloride granules I talked about earlier, just to keep the crunch of the peppers. It seemed to help pretty good in the batch I did. Next step you're going to want to do is go ahead and get rid of all the air bubbles within the jar. So you just kind of Use your little spatula on the outside, push them down a little bit just to release the air bubbles to the top. Next, you go ahead and take a paper towel, dab it with some of that vinegar, and you're going to want to wipe the rim so you get a good seal with the lids. You want to remove any oils from your hands, which I was wearing gloves here, or any of the brine or any pieces of jalapeno that may be on the rim that will prevent a good seal. You're just going to want to go ahead and hand tighten those lids onto the jars. You don't want to crank them too hard. And just repeat the process for all your other jars. Yeah, that tool with the magnet on there is very handy. You don't want to be sticking your hands in that hot water to get those lids, so if you can find one of those tools, they're excellent to have. You could always dump the water out as well, but this is so much simpler. And then into the water bath they go. Here I just want to show you that they're processing. You see the bubbles coming out from the lid area. That's a good sign. That's what you want to see. Go ahead and secure the lid. And after the 10 minutes, go ahead and start pulling them out. Put them on some towels. And there you have it. Go ahead and let them sit on the counter undisturbed for 24 hours. Any lids that don't seal, go ahead and put those in the fridge. They won't last long. You'll be digging into those. And the rest of them you can go ahead and store in a cool, dry place. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. And as always, keep gardening, keep learning, and have fun.